First of all, it's no surprise that this current era of Spider-Man, both the movie and the character, never really stands on its own footing. In the first movie, Spider-Man was in a huge shadow of Iron Man. The second movie still dealt with the aftermath of Avengers Endgame. Now, the third movie is even tied with the previous two Spider-Man franchise. It's very clear that this movie is just a pure fan service. There's even no attempt made to hide it. Watching this movie feels like listening to the greatest hits. You get the nostalgia, but nothing else. This is the domain not of authors, but executives, hype merchants, and intellectual property. It's basically money-making machine. When you have a character so powerful that he can reanimate villains that died about 10 films ago, the scope for making huge amount of money is endless. With Doctor Strange, Marvel can send their money-making characters in whatever direction they please, and the audience will pay to see it once, twice, maybe even 3 times. Unfortunately, it becomes evident that the filmmakers don't quite know what to do with these cast additions. The first act gives the movie the intensity and propulsion that the movie cannot maintain. It can be fun when all the Spider-Man villains talk amongst themselves, but that fun is short-lived. Much of the dialogue doesn't really figure out what these characters would actually talk about. Many of the characters just recap their previous movies. There are only a few genuine dramatic payoffs of the characters' previous adventures. The movie seems content to keep the old characters as they were. As such, it sells them short because all of these characters were capable and worthy of developing in a new story. It's not balanced to keep the ensemble engaged either. The villains disappear for a long stretch, so does Doctor Strange. So just when you were getting attached to Norman, Otto, and Max, they're gone for a long time. This movie also does yet another disservice to Tom Holland, who's felt like a supporting figure even in his own solo MCU projects as Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spider-Man becomes subordinated to a series of applause break entrants by other heroes and villains. Being stacked against Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield does Tom Holland no favors as well. This movie also shares the narrative DNA about the multiverse with the Oscar-winning animation Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse from 2018. That movie is thrilling, inventive, and visually stunning. This movie unfortunately is not. Just like the previous 2 installments, this movie also diverts a lot of time to comedic asides that just are not funny. The movie overplays that awkward, bumbling humor that is so popular in Hollywood productions. There are a handful of moments in this movie that are probably the most human, well-earned moments of self-doubt, reconciliation, and resolve in Marvel Universe. Unfortunately, just like the other superhero cinemas, all of this is set aside in a climax that has to bring together the untenably large cast solely for a great dust-up of a battle. Unlike the Sam Raimi's first 2 Spider-Man movies, which are probably still the best, this movie feels like a product of a superhero machine industry. It's just a gallery of intellectual property. It's weightless and has nothing to say. Overall, this movie is probably useful if you want to have nostalgic feeling on the previous 2 franchise. Otherwise, we do not recommend this movie at all.